So wait up. Just gonna. All right, let's start. Just gonna open my JetBrains PyCharm community. All right. To start the session. Wait for loading the project. This is our previous project, if you recall. Just gonna go File, New Project, and this one we're gonna call it week 7. Let's put it that way. And make sure you have the best interpreter, whatever it is. I'm using Python 3.6, and here we go. Create. Open a new window. All right, so almost ready. All right, so the project is ready to go. I just gonna go today with one main and one main only. So Python file, main, and okay, so ready to go. I'm just gonna size it properly. You guys can see at the back of the class, or it's too small? Sure, or you don't care? Oh, you don't care. Okay, that makes sense. They don't care. All right, so today we're gonna, let's comment a little, warm up. Today we're gonna learn about libraries. We're gonna work with two main libraries. One is random libraries. Random libraries, guess what? Generates random variables and numbers, and is a really important libraries in any programming languages, because any games, any application you might use and create, you might need to generate some sort of random numbers. So it's always good to know what it is, what's the possibility and capability of it. So we're going to talk about random and also math, right? So you manipulate numbers all the time. You should have all the function that you need. You need a cosine function, or let's say you need a pi number or infinity symbol or whatever it is, and also use those to import. So we're going to cover these two for today, and so we're going to cover math and library, math and random library. So any library you might need, you have to import it. Simple. Guess what? There's a keyword called import. So if you write import, you see it just pops up. It is a key word for importing libraries. So what we're going to import today is the library math, and we're going to import random. So this is the two libraries I'm importing. As you can see, it looks like a little bit commented. Python is a really efficient program, so it doesn't use that one right now. It doesn't import it at all unless you use it. So if you just go math dot whatever it is, let's say cosine, it actually bright up. So it means you using it now. So it's kind of an efficient language. So let's leave it for now, and now we learn how to do it. Let's start with a module, which is we learned that call it rand. And this module will generate five random integer between, just make more space here for us. So just gonna minimize that. 1 to 100. Let's say I have a module. Every time I call it, give me 5 random numbers between 1 to 100. Simple. It has to be integer though. So it has to be 1, 5, 10, and so on. So let's see how we can do that. And print it. Let's say. So since I want to do this 5 times, since we learned loops, we're going to use the counted control loops. We're going to go for let's say count in, we're going to use the function range. And how many numbers I need? 5. So if you recall, range generates 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Total of 5 times this loop's going to go through. And in this loops, so this the range, this is important. The range, just a little bit of review, is start from 0, 0 included, and 5 is not. So the key is it goes 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So if you print, let's say count, if you recall, you just go and call this module. So I'm going to call the random, or rand. What's going to happen, let's test it out. You're going to have 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So the range generates from 0 up to 5, right? This is mathematical expression for up to and such. So we're not going to print count. We just want to use this loop to generate 5 random numbers. So how do I do that? So let's be comment that one. And here, we're just going to define a number. And since I import my random library here, right? So I'm going to use that and go into it. So I'm going to go random. And dot means give you access to all these libraries and variable you can actually get. We're going to start with something called rand int. So rand int generates random integer because that's what I want. So it's a random integer. And we're going to use rand int, and we're going to say, okay, so the number has to be between 1 to 100. So every time this guy runs, it generates a random number between 1 to 100. You can put, so the rand int, there is an initial point and the end point, and both of them are included into the range. What that means is just, you might see 100, you might see 1. It's not before and after. That's the only random function in Python that has both covered. Rest of it you'll see is worked exactly like the range because you're using the keyword range. Alright, so now when I do that, I am going to print number. To make it more obvious, I'm going to move the, here we go, comments right next to it. That you guys, sometimes when you have too much comments, it's confusing. Here we go. So this is a 3 line. So I have a loop. You're going to go through this 5 times. Every time I call the random, generate the random number, store it as a number, then I'm going to print that number and repeat. So every time I'm calling it, I'm going to get the new number. Let's see how that goes. Here we go. So right now I have 56, 98, 57, 22, 3. Let's run it again. Here you go. Totally different random numbers. So every time you get 5 new random numbers between 1 to 100. So if I do 1 to 5, you should have it all kind of. Well, you don't. 4, 1, 5, 1, 2. So you control. You guys gonna realize nothing really random. Fully, there is always the range that the random things happen. All right. So this is one of the start of it. Oh. Start of the random function. Let's generate more. So I'm gonna uncomment that because I don't want to run it every single time. So we're gonna learn how to generate different form of integers. generally. So let's go have some sort of separator, because I'm just gonna generate a law of random numbers. I want you to guys see, so there's a line between them. We're gonna start with, so we learned so far, you call your random library, and in there you can have rand int. So that's what we used, right? So between, let's say, 1 and 5, and this guy generated random number between 1 and 5. Both are included. So every time I'm running this, same as the one I used, right? You're just gonna have, oh, I didn't print it at all. So let's print it. Or here's a 5. See, 5 is included. This is a 1. I was lucky today, so because it showed both at the same time. Here's 2, 3, 4, 4, 3 is random, right? Now, there's another way of doing this. Let's see who can guess this based on whatever we learned so far. So I'm gonna now generate number, call it random. So there's a function called range, and let's put 10. So based on whatever you learned so far, what do you think what will generate here? No, this is a random number, so it's a range involved, right? We're using range. So we're gonna let's run and see what it is. So we have 2, 4, 1, 7. So what is it? What's the range of that? It's 0 up to 10. We're using range. When you're using range, it's exactly work as a range we use in your loops. So it's 0 all the way to 10. So you're never gonna see 10. So if I put 1 here, I should just see zeros, right? Let's try it. See, always challenge yourself. Maybe I'm wrong. It's always 0 because that's the only number left. So we're gonna go, let's say 5. Let's keep the 5 that you guys can see the difference. Here we go. So 4, you never see 5, you might see 0. Here we go. So 0 is there, 5 is not there. Since we're using range, all the range criteria applicable to the range function. So if I do this, I'm gonna go print, and if I do 1 to 5, or let's say 5 to 10, what will happen here is what? What is the range for the random number? Up to 10, right? So the 10 is not included. So same thing as we learned last week. Now we're generating a random number between this range. Same thing. Here we go. So that would be it. So 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So that would be the numbers you possibly randomly see as the output when you print it. All right. Here we go. So 5, it's the beginning of it. A 5 again, 6, 8, 8, 6. It's random, but we set the range basically. So let's make it interesting. Let's see how much you guys got the function range, or understood the idea of this. We're gonna define a number using the same thing. So we're gonna do that. Who can tell me if I print this number, what would be the output? Yeah. So that's what it is. We're generating the range of numbers like that. So the range is like this. I'm just gonna write it. So we're generating the number like that. 0. There is an increment of 10. So we gotta go 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, and 100. Why 100? Because go up to 101. If you recall, the second or the endpoint is not included. So in order to have the 100, I did 101. And that's a range I'm creating. So the random number is goes and randomly pick one of those from this list. That's why it could be 80, could be 90, could be 10, whatever it is. So if I run it, you see 30 now. So this is a number. Now it's 0. 20, 10, 20 again. Right? So that's what it means. So all the range functionality we learned is also applicable here, right? It's a kind of a range family, but it's a random range. All right. So this is rand range. So there is a rand int, and the rest is just, this is all your options to generate random numbers. So how do we generate floats or decimal numbers? I want a random decimal numbers. I don't want 5. I want 5.2. How should I do that? So we're gonna go number random dot. We call it uniform because it's a uniform numbers between 1 and 2. There is all continuous numbers, so they call it uniform in a sense. And we're gonna go 1. So this is from 1 to 10. I put it 0.0. That tells you this is a decimal system. That doesn't matter whatever you want to put. So this is choose a real number now. So decimal system or whatever it is between 1 to 10. So let's print it, see what it is. Let me have a separator here that separates this output from the previous one. Here we go. Run it. Here we go. So this is your decimal system. See, it's lots of decimals. We know how to format it right? So we're going to get this number. We're going to use our format function that we learned before. So we're going to format that to 2 decimal places, right? So you're going to go comma. Open your string 0.2f. So in that case, I would say I need it up to 2 decimal places. You want 3. Here we go. 4.05, 1.77. You want 3. Put that 3. You want 1. There we go. So you can generate whatever you need to. So this is for your real number. There's a really famous random function that is really useful. I'm gonna just let you guys find out what it is. We're gonna go number. So there's a function called random, and this function name usually are the same in any program language you might work in the future. Who can tell me what's a function random generates? Does anyone know? No? Okay, so let's say I don't know neither. Let's run it, see what it generates. I'm gonna keep running it till you guys guess. Nobody can tell me what's the range of that? Yeah, 0 to 1, right? So this one, the range is 0 to 1. Who can tell me why? Why do I need such a thing? So in statistic and probability, all the thing you know, the percentage you know, like 50% chance or 20% chance, that usually means this. So this is 20%, right? This is 75%. So in probability and statistic, percentage is a multiplier between 0 and 1. So 0 means 0% chance and 1 is 100% chance. And whatever between is the chance in percentage. So you have that, and if you need something like that, you can always use it. Also, you can use this as a multiplier to an integer number to generate a real number. So this is a two use for this. It's really important function to go with. All right. So here it is. Okay, so let's dig into the math function too. Math library, sorry, not function. So this is an example of random library. Now we're gonna go to the math library, find out what it is. I'm gonna write a module called that circle area. So we're gonna ask user get the radius. We ask the user to give us the radius. We're gonna calculate the area of the circle. Simple enough, right? So what is the area of circle? So, what's that? Pi r squared, basically. How do you write that? Pi times r squared. So how do I do that? Some of you know pi is 3.14, right? But that's not accurate. Pi is 3.14, 1595. I forgot the whole thing. There is a function, give us the exact pi. Let's say you want to calculate it properly. So if you here use the math function, let's say print math.pi, gives you the exact value of the pi, more or less. Here we go. So 314, 15, 92. Did I say 93 or 92? Yeah, pretty good. I used to know like 13 decimal places to show off, but nobody cares anymore. There you go. Okay, so this is my pi, and I don't need to put 314. We're just gonna use this math function to calculate it. So for the area, I'm just gonna go say, okay, area is math.pi. Let's put it through with the parentheses that you guys see better. Multiply by radius times 2, right? So if you recall in Python, power is double star. So that's what we covered the first session. So that's like to the power of 2. But if you don't want to use that, you also, let's use the math function, call that power. So we're gonna go power radius to 2. You can use that math function too. I'm using two math functions to find the areas of the circle. Let's say you need. So we're gonna print it out. So we're gonna say the area of the circle with radius of, we're gonna put 2 decimal places for that because it's gonna be an ugly number, right? The pi is a big number, so we multiply that with anything, it gives you a lot of decimal places. We don't want it. Just gonna go with 2 decimal places here, 2 significant digit. And if you recall, we're just gonna go radius, wait up. So the radius of okay. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna replace this with radius and with the area on the second one. So it's kind of a rainbow, if you recall. That's the previous stuff. Let's call our module and see how that works. So we're gonna call this circle area, and just gonna run that. So here ask me to enter the radius. Let's put I don't know, 12.5, 25. Enter, and here we go. So the area of the circle with the radius of 12.25 is 471.44. So this is the unit less, so we need units. So we can actually add unit if you like. Let's go in centimeter or inch or meter, whatever you prefer. I prefer SI unit, standard, because it's standard obviously. So 12 centimeters of radius gives me 452.39. Is that square? Alright, so here's the math. There's more math function. I'm not going to cover all of it. Some of them you should know. There's a list on your slides. You can go through and learn it. I'll show you in a second. But okay, so let's just run a couple of math function here. So we're going to have math.pi. We use that, 3.14. This is infinity. If you need infinity, INF. It's a short form of infinity. Let's say mathematically. Okay, so let me just not running this module again. Here we go. So this is generate infinity if you need it. Guess what? Infinity is not defined in many programs. So if you mathematically learn about infinity, let's say you divide the number 3 by 0 and say the answer is infinity, mathematically that doesn't make sense. You have to define it for the program. Most of the programs, they don't understand the exceptions. So we're going to learn later that you're going to tell your program what to do when you have exceptions. One of them is like, oh, show infinity. That's it. So you're going to generate that infinity, let the program use. So there's a use for all of that, right? Let's say the other one. Okay, so let's say you guys know your sign. What's the sign of 30? Half, or 1 by 2, as you learn. 1 by 2 is like half. 1 divided by 2, by the way. Alright? So let's see what we can get. So I get negative 0.98. Who can tell me why? This is one of the things you might face dealing with functions. Each function accepts different inputs, so you're going to always check what kind of input it gets. The sine and cosine functions accept radian. Who knows what radian is? Nobody? Yeah. 2 pi. No, that's frequency. What are you talking? Anyway, the radians is a different system. It's based on pi system. So your 360 is 2 pi. And 180 is pi. 9 is pi over 2. If you remember your table, you might write pi over 2. Those are radians. So this is angle, 30 degrees, and this is a radian. Sine accept radian. So how should I do that? I want to get half or 1 over 2 as the input. I am going to use another math.radian to get the radian of 30 degrees. So this guy, get the degree, convert it to radian, which is pi over 6. Or you can actually do that. Let's do something you guys know, then we take to that. So this guy, let's say, get the degree, convert it to radian. 10 pi over 6, I feed it into the sine function to generate half. If it's not too complicated, I'll break it down for you. Here we go. That's your half right there. So if you look at this, you know they lie to you. It's not half. It's almost half. Because the pi is a number that never ends, right? So it's always that goes all the way to... So it's almost half. It's 0.499999999 all the way. So you can do that, or you can do this. So you can go, wait up. What did I do? Or this is also the same. You might be happier with this one. So you can go math.sine. Yeah, you're gonna go math.pi divided by 6, right? So pi over 6 is 30 degrees. Here we go. Both of them generate the same answer. So there's a function to do the math for you, or you can do it manually here. I'm not teaching you math though. This is not a math class. If you don't know what it is, you're probably not going to need none of those. All right, let me just try something here. Here we go. This is the absolute value that I was talking about. So the absolute value of -2 is 2, right? Okay, so let's move forward, since this is not a math class. I am going to dig in more into the string manipulation, and then we take the break. All right, we learned that the string can be store a name. So let's say we start with the name here. I'm gonna put my name. All right, so let's say I have a variable called name and store a string Hassan, right? It's my first name. I want to get the size of the string, right? So how many words or letters, let's say letters. How many letters is inside this string, right? The sum has 5 letters, H-E-S-A-M. So in order to do that, you can get the string length with a function called len. So if I print the string length here, I would see, oh, sorry. Yeah, I see 5. Because there's a 5 letters in it, right? So if I put number 1 at the end, that would change to 6. So function len basically get the length of it is crucial to understand Python use the function len, L-E-N, but all the languages are used and the function name is length. Actually, you write the full length and it gets the length of the string. Python, for some reason, is just using len. I want you guys to know that. So in that case, hello. Also, you can add strings together. So let's say you have 3 strings, you want to add it together, you can just add it together. Let's say we're going to have this is, you simply use plus. This is a 3 string, I'm adding it together. Simple enough. This is a really brief using Python adding string like that. Most of the languages is not that simple to adding 2 strings together. So if I print the message now, I would see, okay, so if you run it as I did, you see this is 1 string now. So we're adding this all together. That means if I have a last name here, let's add the last name. Ekbari, right? I can have the full name, simply say name plus last name, right? There's a problem there, I'm gonna show you. So if I print the full name, bless you. Problem. You see my full name. The problem is there's no space between. So I'm gonna go and the space. Here we go. Fun. So you can. This is a brief. Honestly, if you go to Java, for example, adding string and manipulating string is really, really problematic. You're just gonna find the function. You're gonna clone it. It's just not easy. All right. So let's manipulate that my name alone. So right now, let's say I want my name to be all capitalized. Right? What should I do? So when we have a name, so this is my name here, and I wanna the first letter is capital and the rest is not. I wanna all of them to be capital. What should I do? I'm gonna go cap name. So we're gonna go cap name here. So this is my cap name or capital name equals my name dot. There's a bunch of function you can use to manipulate your strings. One of them is called upper. So what the upper does, it basically capitalize the name and store it into this new variable that I did. So if I print the cap name, you'll see my name is now all capital. Similarly, you can do that. So let's have a lowercase, lower name. I can get the cap name and using something called lower. So the cap name is all capital now. I take that and lowercase all. So in that case, we're gonna go print lower name. everyone. So what I did, I get the sum, was the first letter capital, I capitalize all of them, then I get that capital name and make it all lower, right? How do you find something in a string? Let's say, so now let's go, how do we, excuse me, find things in a string? So what do I mean by that? So let's have a string, and inside of it is 4. And I want to find the location of 7. Okay, so we can find the position and say, okay, go to the string and here find 7. So if you print position, what number are you gonna get? It says 50. So let's say it's correct or not. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Actually, alright, back to this. So the location or index of a string start from 0. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15 is your 7, which is start. So give me 15. So let's say if I want years, so where's the years in this? Is on 21. Start from that point. Yeah, you do the counting, I'm not doing it. It's too much homework. So let's go with something. Score 5, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, don't forget about the 0. So usually it's on the 6th location, but we start counting from 0. This is the most problematic. All the students make a mistake. We're gonna have a class talking about those fully. Just want to give you the idea, because when you get to it, you guys have a kind of idea what it is. So any strings, later on we're going to cover lists, arrays, all the things we have a collection of some sort. The location of those, which is we call index, start from 0. And that's why we have those range or counted loop that start from 0 initially, because they assume we want to go through them and find things. Anyways, just get the idea. One more manipulation and then we take the break, and this guy can go get his ice cabin. So let's say I have another full name, so I'm going to call this full name. Let's say the name is Patty Line Smith, something like that, something random. So I try to separate those. There's a full name. If you recall, I had my first name and last name, and I make full name with it, right? Just add those together. Now let's say I have a full name. This is the first name, middle name, and the last name, and I want to separate them. So now I have a string. I want to have that and this and that. So let's take the first name out. So I'm going to have first name. And first name is Patty. So we're gonna get the full name, call the full name, and that's what I'm gonna do. I open my brackets and I put 5 here. What it tells you is this. It says go from the beginning and take the first 5. So let's print it out. And you can see the pad, right? Do I need to mention 0 here? It's the same thing. When you don't mention it, means go start from the beginning. So if I put, let's say if I put 1 here, the P is gone. So again, start from 0, right? So it means go after 1 and just take. All right, so that means take 5 from the beginning. Let me change that. Here we go, missing an N. All right, so let's take the middle name now. Based on what I taught you, we're gonna start from 6 now, so we're gonna go full name. Start from 6 and go all the way to, let's go 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So from 6 to 10, give me my middle name. There we go. So that's my middle name right there. So first name, middle name. We can do this. We can say first name is. Let's clarify that. I'm just printing those that you guys can see better. Here we go. Oh. There we go. So the first name is Patty, the middle name is Leanne. So let's get the last name. Make more space here. So how do I get the last name then? So we go full name. Anyone can guess? How do I get the last name? What? Tell me. So there's a range here. What should I put from the beginning and the end? All right, she said 11 to 15. Let's say that works or not. Oh, not that last name. This is one with underline. All right, so you missed the index again, right? So this is 16. But guess what? If you don't mention it, means go all the way to the end, right? So if you recall, at the beginning, I didn't mention anything, means start from the beginning. If you don't mention anything, it goes all the way to the end. So you don't need to count. Or, guess what? We learned the psi. So this is the Smith. If you need to know, well, you should put 15, right? You can do this. Guess what? Length of the full name. So it gives you how big it is, and that number is the last member, right? So it just tells you 15 members, so you put that there, and that should work. Right? So if you get the size of the full name here, so a 3-way, let's put it all the way. So one, this is that way, so this is the last name. The other one is, you put 16 or whatever it is. So we're going to get the length of, let's say, what's the length of full name? Which is 16. Then I can put that full name here as an alternative. Or you put 16, up to you. But the good part of getting the length is later if you change the size, that always changes with it. So if you're counting, if you manipulate that string, you don't know how this is gonna affect your code. But if you're using the functions, you know you get the right answer. The other ways, there's a better way to do that. This is a little bit creative. So this tells you programming is all about style, right? Maybe I'm gonna create the last name again. This time I'm gonna do full name, and I'm going to do this. Who can guess what that is? That. So who can tell me what it actually tells the function to do it for us? Yeah, so it's backward, right? So it goes all the way to the end and go 5 back. So I'm going here, and I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So get this one. So you can start from 11, go all the way to the end. You can start from the end, go 5 back. Depends on the application, you can select yours. So guess what? Programming has different style. She might use -5, you might use 11 to 16, I'm using the length. Guess what? All of them generate the same answer. Alright? One more thing, and that's a break after that, promise. So let's get letters. Let's say I have a string like that: A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z, or Z, or whatever. So we can do this. I'm just gonna print it right away, so I'm not gonna save it. So get the letters. I can do 0 to 13, right? So that's like a half of it. If I print that, I get from A to M. Or I can go 0 to 26, or 126, 26, and you actually get all of it, right? Not a problem. Now let's do this. If I put 2 here, what would happen? Yeah, so skip by 1. So this is incrementation. It's the same concept. You're gonna get the whole of the language now, right? The third one always tells you how to skip through. So in that case, it's gonna be A, C, there we go. Every other A, C, E, and so. So if I put 10, so A, Q, A, K, and U. How? Okay, the first one, then this is the 10th, this is 20th. Alright, you got the idea. So this is a fun part. The 26th word. The index starts from 0. So if you put 26 here, guess what? You don't. The only thing you see is A. And you say it. Okay. So let's take a break. And then after the break, I'm just gonna do one program with bunch of function. Then we finish the whole thing today. All right, break time. All right, so I'm gonna start over. All right, so we're gonna talk about functions. So what is a function? Function is a module which takes an input like module, process it, and generate output, right? So it has the basically IPO, or input process output chart. And let's define one. I am going to write the whole program to learn this. Let's find one that is interesting. Let's say there is a program that check that students fail or pass by getting the name and student number. So it finds out they pass or fail and let them know. So simple enough. Let's say in this class 3 people failed. I have a set feeling that more than 3 people fail in this class, but let's say 3. So what we're gonna do is write different functions. So first we're gonna write a function that simply get student name. So whenever I run this function, this is not the module, it's a function, so you return something. You're gonna ask for a student name, so we're gonna go input. So we ask for a student name, and what it does is store that into the local variable stn, and it returns it. That's it. So this is a function. Whenever you call it, you just ask for student name, take that student name, return it back to me. Let's do the same thing with the get, let's say, student number. Same thing. So this one has no input, but student so this student, okay, so wait up. So I'm gonna make that a student name, or just put a name. How about that? It's a name. And this one is student number. So in that case, we're just gonna go input. So this one also return. Yeah. What's the doubt about the return? So the question is, what will happen if you don't have a return? So we had the module before without the return. So that's the same thing as a module, but we have a return. What happens here is when you're calling this module, it does something, and it take that name and return it back to whenever you call it. That's all different. So we're gonna use it. You're gonna see. So when I'm calling this, it goes all the way, do all the tasks, and this is a local variable. It takes that, bring it with it back. So that's what it is. I'm just gonna show you. I'm just writing this to simple enough. Since you asked, let me just show you right now. It's better. So here I'm just going to define my module name and use those 2 functions to so here that's what I'm going to do. I use those functions that I created and see how they actually works. Then I'll continue. So let's say I have a main module and calling my get student name. Okay, so what it is, before we calling it, just go and do the module and that's it. So now what it happens when you're calling it, go here, ask for the student name and return the name here whenever you call it. So you can simply do this. You can call something, call a name, equals to that function. So what happens here, you call this, it goes get the name, return the name, and store it in a local variable name in the main function or main module. So if you print the name, I'm gonna print it here. So what happens is this. So you run it. Oh, sorry, I'm gonna first call my module main. So when you're calling this, you go here, you're calling this module, go here, ask for the name, save it as a local variable name, return that name, whatever it is, to whenever you call it, which is here, and store it in this, we can't call it name main. It can be the same, right? Because these are mutually exclusive. They are both local variables. But store it there, and I'm just printing that name here. It's nothing to do with this. Oh, God. So if I'm running that, so here I'm asking the student name, which is here. So I put, let's say, Hassam. Then it returns Hassam here whenever it gets called, and now we're printing it. And you can see it prints Hassam. You can say the name is here. So since I'm doing that, let's do the same thing with student number 2. So, let's say lost track here. Let's call that student number, or student num. Let's use different. This one I'm gonna use the function get student number. This one, go up, ask for the student number, get the student number, bring it back, store it here. So now let's have a function. So I'm gonna write the function, so it's status. Gonna write something, call it get student status. So a little bit more complicated now. What it does is it gets the name and a student number from these two. So we go up, get those, both of them, then we got it, we feed it into another function to go find their fail or pass, and when we get it, we store that in the status. Alright, so let's go write this on the top, see what I mean by that. So I'm gonna have n, let's call this something different. So let's call that name and STN, student number. You see, I'm using the name a lot, but they are mutually exclusive. They are local variables. As you recall, we covered that later. So we get these two from the main. So we have it here. Store those values or content into these local variable. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna check that they are pass or fail. I'm assuming everyone's passed, right? Unless there's a 3 names that might not pass. So we're gonna check set the local variable, which is Boolean. We're gonna set that to that's not Java. Here we go, true. So this is my flag or something. So we assume everyone passed unless we prove otherwise. And how do I prove that? We're gonna use our for loop. So I'm gonna use a nested for loop. We're gonna go for name or NM. Let's say name of name in let's say these three students that failed. Sam, Tony, and Lovepreet. So I have a list here, right? What it is, I set the loop every time, goes through it. If you recall, we covered that last week. So NM, which is a dummy variable, become Hassan first time. Second time, become Tony. Third time, become Lovepreet, right? So it goes through that list and become one. So if you print NM, every single time you're gonna see one of those names. And every time I check if NM, which is the name in that list, like the first name, second name, and third name, is equals to the input name the user put. The user type Tony, I want to see that it matches any of those. So one by one, I go in and check if it's equal. So if it's equal, means we have a person that actually failed, but we have to check the student number too. Why? Because obviously you guys have many names that are similar. I don't want to fail someone that is not there. So we want to make sure that student failed. So there's a loop inside another one. So if we have a match, then we start checking the student number. If we don't, we're not checking it. What's the point of checking it if one of them not matched? So first the name is matched, then we make sure the student number also match. Otherwise, I'm not running that loop. So there's a loop inside the loop in the condition. So let's call this num as a dummy variable or your counter. Let's put some random number 777777. And the other one was just 3 random numbers. Let's say each of these numbers are associated with the name. One, 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 one. Those are random numbers. There we go. And if that one also true, so if your num equals to the student number I received from the main as an input, then guess what? Oh, sorry, I missed that one. Here we go. Guess what's gonna happen? Both of them are the match. So in that case, we just change the status to false. So what it is, we check the names. As soon as we have a match, then we start and check that student number against the others. And if we both of them match, then that student fails. So we put false. Guess what? When we do this, we are going to return the status. So if it's not a match, we're not changing the status. So we go all the way back. Pay attention where you're returning the status, right? So you're returning it here. So either we never go through those, so the status never change, the name is not in there, and you're definitely gonna return the true. If it is, we go through it, we return false. Okay, so this is what it is. That means here when I'm asking to get the status, either give me true or false. So now when I have that status stored in the status variable here, I simply gonna go do this. So we're gonna say, okay, if status typo. Do I need to write the condition? No, because if statement accept Boolean expression, and all the things you write actually generate true and false anyway. So that status either give me true and false. So if it's true, what I'm gonna do is just congrats the student. So it's a print congrats whatever name they enter initially, right? So we got the name, so let's make it personal. Assume they know the name. No, sorry. That would be interesting, right? A lot of emails and calls like, sir, I got A+, wow, I'm failing. You passed. So it's got absent-minded for a second. Been a long day. All right, so else means the status is not. Oh, wait up. Yeah, else. You print. Sorry. You failed. See you next semester. Little bit joke. Something like that. Alright, so let's review what we did. It seems like too much, but it's not. So we have 3 functions, which two of them are really simple. One of them is just go get the name, return the name. The other one, get the student number, return the student number. The other one has 2 inputs, name and student number. Go check against the database, let's say, for lack of better words, or list, whatever we have, with these 3 students that they failed. If they have a match, change the status to false, means they failed, and return that status, could be true and false. Then I have a simple main here. I call the get name, get the student name, get the name, store it here, get the student number, store it here. Then I take these 2, send it to the status, the student status, get the student status function to generate and tell me they passed or failed. Then we store that here. It's a lot of storing. I don't need to store it. I can really simply send these 2 here, use it here as such. But I want to show you this is not a really good way of coding, because there's a lot of waste of variable that we don't really need. Then when we get it, it's either true, then means this is, take the true, you're gonna print their pass, or it's either is false and you gotta generate and tell them you failed. So let's try that. Oh, it seems I have an error somehow. Oh yeah. I think here we go, yeah. So run it, see it works or not. Enter the student name. Let's start with someone. Let's start with myself. Let's go with a. So let's say my student number is 777777, and it actually detected me. So you failed. See you next semester. I fail every semester, so I'm taking this again and again. Well, let's try it with the same name. Let's say there's another sum here. Instead of this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and this one's passed because it's not the same person as that one. So the first, in that case, the first loop here, the for loop, this is a match. Then you go check those against database or whatever it is, and that student number doesn't match. Therefore, that's not the same person. So that's good. What other condition we have? So this is the 2. So the other one is, let's say, Robert, whatever it is. And student number is the same as, well, that's not possible, but let's say it is. So student number is at the database, but the name is not. That one also passed. So we're all good. So we cover all of them. And if someone has nothing, let's say it's Ali, and with the student number 898989, that one also. So we get. Question. This is, now we're gonna improve our code a little. So let's make it better. If I put Hassam right there as, let's say, C07777, is that a pass or fail? Should be failed though, but it's passed. Why? Capital, right? So it's not, it's case sensitive. If you take a look at the list I created, all start with capital H. These are capital. We don't want that. So if someone type the name with the lowercase, even they have to fail, they show pass. They don't have a problem. Then they're gonna say, "Hey, sir, you told me you passed, but you failed." Okay, no, it was a mistake in the code, right? So how do I fix that? First, we are going to make everything lowercase or uppercase. Doesn't matter. So I do that. All lowercase or uppercase, up to you. Then here, when I get the name and student number, I simply gonna do this. Here, when I get the name, I feed this like that. This is another, here we go. So whatever I get, I send the lowercase of that into my function. If you recall, I just taught you a little bit before that we can, here we go, right? So we can uppercase or lowercase any string we want. So in that case, I use whatever I learned today, and when I get those names, could be upper, could be lower, could be like crazy, I take whatever I take and make a lower, then I feed it into my get student status module function, not module. Or you can, if that's not clear for you, you can basically, what you can do is do this. So we're gonna go name equals to name dot lower. So we replace the name with a lowercase, and the name I got from the module, replace it with lower again. So we can do that, then feed. It doesn't matter where you do it, right? So in that case, let's test it out. So if I write it like that, right? So when I do still should be give me fail, right? Yeah, so now it doesn't matter how you type it. Whatever it gets, it actually changes to lowercase, and my database or list basically is a lowercase anyway. So now, alright, so now our program works. Let's move it to the next level, add one more functionality. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna ask the user, would you like to check for another student? So we check for one. So we're gonna ask them, basically using our do while technique, which is we learned last week, to ask the user, would you like to continue, and do that. Alright, so now we're gonna, this is my main I'm calling. This is a module main. I'm just gonna basically do some sort of confirmation and put that to y, and say while call the main. So I'm gonna send that in the means. Okay, so we're gonna do the basically do while means what? So we're gonna first do this once, so we call our main, and when we done that, we're just gonna update or confirm. and ask if you like to continue. Type if you like to check, let's say check another student. Type Y4 That's it. So this is what we learned last week, so we're just gonna implement into it. So first start with the name. Let's say alright, so if you like to continue, yes, we wanna check another student, and this time Robert, what was it, Lovepreet. Let's see, 111111. Alright, Lovepreet passed. What was the student number? Totally forgot about that. All the way up. Typo. So how I write the Lovepreet. Alright, that's not right. So the problem was, this is what you have to pay attention. I put this guy here, so it was part of this loop. Means you go to Hassam, it never actually finished this when you put Lovepreet. So you have to be able to return the status. So status has to return in the module here, not there. So in that case, you're gonna pay attention. Indentation is the most common problem with Python. So we fix that. And in that case, we all set. Let's go try it. So this one pass. Okay, so all the extra printout that I did to find the problem, I'm gonna get rid of that. So one of the things you guys learn, if you have a problem and you can't really figure it out, the idea is just print from each module, see what it goes in, what's coming out. Printing is your best friend to find the problem. See how the behavior changed, what the loop going on, the print out things to give you the idea what it is. Let's go. Okay, so that is good. That is good. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna get rid of extra printouts, which is here. So I don't need to print that, so I know what I'm getting. And here we're just printing the num. So check our loop was fine. This is fine. Everything's fine now. Run it for the last time, and we're just gonna wrap it up. So let's go. I don't know, Lovepreet. Typo doesn't. Typo doesn't matter. I mean, like the lowercase, uppercase doesn't matter. It should work. Yeah. So Lovepreet failed. See you next semester. Yes. Another name, Tony. CO. Let's say 777777. Yeah. So everything works fine now. Okay. That's about it.